Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 27th of March, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar index, of course. All my instruments here are on the Metastock Zenith feed, one of the newest Updata integrations, and this matches the Thomson Reuters icon feed. So if you're using Thomson Reuters or Metastock, the same watch lists are all available in Updata, so you can copy me and review this through the day. So here I've got my weekly, my 1%, my daily, my half percent, my 60-minute and my 0.1% 60-minute chart, giving me long-term, medium-term and short-term views. Remember, that's how it works. The dollar is bearish on all three time frames, and we've got downside targets, and we're down very slightly this morning, but the dollar remains bearish. And the euro is looking bullish in the short term, so we're seeing that as well on that dollar weakness. And the Japanese yen dollar is actually a little bit stronger here the last couple of days, but struggling to get through the cloud. So we're still bearish, even though we have had a bit of a recovery, and we've got downside targets, quite a lot of them actually. Still about 2% downside against the yen. Sterling falling back this morning, having had quite a good few days. We look on the against the dollar here. We look on the medium-term daily chart. We're just nudging those highs that we saw in January and February, but we're just seeing a little bit of a sell-off this morning, but still bullish on the short-term chart. Against the euro, however, sterling has turned bearish, but now down through the cloud, and against the Swiss franc, we're still above the cloud, but selling off heavily here this morning as well, and against the Australian dollar holding its bullish trend. So interesting there. Bitcoin is bearish in the medium term. The short term is bearish as well. No clear downside targets at the moment, and the key thing is this is looking like a descending triangle. It does look like Bitcoin could collapse. So interestingly, we've just got to keep an eye on that. Down some 2.7% this morning. S&P 500 index recovered quite strongly yesterday. US markets generally were up. We're still bearish on the charts in the short term, and the medium term is still a little bit worrying. But we did recover much of Friday's fall. The Nasdaq was up very strongly as well, up some 3.5% really. And here we see bouncing on the cloud, looking very strong. Short-term upside target of another 2.65%. We can easily do that in a day. So the Nasdaq showing some buying yesterday. People fearful to miss the next rise. The Dow rising strongly as well, but still bearish below the cloud. And looking at sterling, we see that sterling is actually, at the Russell 2000, we see that it's recovering as well, so quite key. The futures this morning, the S&P future is up 0.5%, and the Nasdaq E-mini is up just under 1% and through the cloud, so it does suggest a stronger opening on Wall Street again today. The FTSE 100 is up this morning, but still well below that 7,000 level, so still bearish, but we're up quite strongly this morning. And the FTSE mid 250 also rising on those US moves overnight. The DAX is up as well as we'd expect, but bearish. And the CAC 40 in Paris is also recovering quite strongly this morning, but the charts are still bearish. Europe not looking anywhere near as strong as the US charts. The Japanese market is still struggling as well, even though we had quite a sharp recovery there overnight. The Hang Seng is also just recovering above the cloud, but on the long, medium term, but the short term is bearish. China still bearish below the cloud as well. The Indian market has sold off quite a lot lately and is bearish in the medium and short term, but recovering a little bit overnight. And the Australian market is still bearish in the medium and short term charts too. Stock market's generally just waiting for the US recovery to be clearer. And we're seeing here Brent crude still holding the $70 level, flat the last day or two, but still holding that $70. WTI is also just holding the mid 60s, so it's just starting to test that January, February high. Brent is actually through the January, February high almost, so looking pretty strong on both sides. US nat gas sitting at $2.65, recovering a little bit out of the high 250s, but still looking pretty bearish. And taking a look at gold, gold had a good day again yesterday, looking strong, activating a new upside target on the 1% chart to 270s. We've got a new target here of 1374, not yet activated, but that move yesterday giving us another thrust target. So gold still looking pretty strong. Silver also looking better on the short-term chart, not quite looking as strong as gold on the medium and long-term charts. The US 10-year yield sitting at 2.84%, so really flat the last several weeks. So no clear signs which way we're going to go there. And looking at Apple, up quite strongly overnight. Amazon, all the tech stocks really recovering pretty strongly. The tech majors, if we look at them, Amazon, sharp recovery again last night. Um, Google also pushing higher. And then if we look at Facebook, this is the notable exception. It hasn't really recovered strongly and is still looking pretty bearish after all the bearish sentiment news we've seen. So a much smaller recovery in Facebook shares. And last of all, Microsoft heading up the hill, still looking pretty strong. A nice rise there again last night. Medium-term chart still bullish and quite a sharp recovery yesterday. Not getting us fully into bullish territory, but looking pretty strong all the same. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.